Hello traders, and welcome to Practical Vedanta and Trading video series. And in this video we're going to be looking at how do you overcome greed. It's Stu Napan here, founder of Master of Markets, Illustrated Conference and the Traders Open Day. So now how do we overcome this thing, this big word in the trading world, fear and greed, right? So here we are on greed. So how do you overcome that? Now first of all, it'd be good to understand what is first greed, okay? Now greed, we would say, in terms of the mind. Now the mind I've mentioned in other videos on Vedanta videos is that the mind is a flow of thoughts, and whenever you have greed, you have definitely more than one thought, okay? Multiple thoughts. And what is that greed all about? What is the thought that we are putting a lot of focus and energy on? Which is you want to, basically in trading, make more, is it not? You want the trade to go up further. That actually goes to the next question. Then, when does this greed arise? When does greed arise in trading? Okay. So firstly, we established that greed is basically more than one thought in the mind, makes it agitated, makes it not focused, makes us forget our plan in trading. Next is, when does it happen? When does this more than one thought comes? So for example, you got a plan in front of you and you want to execute the plan as traders, you want to follow it so that your stats will be valid and you can reproduce your results. So you got all of that, but then this emotion comes and just wipes it all out, right? So when does it all arise? The usual typical scenario in trading is when you've got something where you've entered and it's going up really high up. It's nearing your target, really good momentum and velocity in price, and you want to hold on to the trade, don't you not? And you want it to go further because you think that you can make you more money. And that is when the greed comes, because we then step aside from our plan or objective of where we want to take our money and get out. Then the natural question that we go on to the third point is, if we know that when does this arise, because we want to make more money, because the momentum velocity is in our favor, you want to move your target more further, then how do we then overcome it? Now, before we overcome to how, we've got to ask ourselves why even overcome it, right? The why is very simple, is it not, traders? Because you know what happens with greed. Sometimes, you know what, it's all good velocity, then it starts to turn around and starts to come down all the way. And then you ask yourself, oh man, I wish I could have got my profits. At least you would have got my equity curve a bit more higher up and not eaten up my into my losses again and increase my losses. So we know why we need to overcome it. Now, how is then the question? The first thing is, truly, you see, the mind is usually segregated to two thoughts, is it not? One is intellectual, the second thing is emotional. Now, intellectually to overcome greed, we need to be statistically objective. Statistically objective. So you need to know your stats on why this is the right place to take your target. This is the right place to take your target. What percentage of the times, what percentage of trades hit that target and turn around? What is the 80% probability of hitting that target? All these stats you must have. And one of the most important words that we have talked about up to times in Traders Basecamp as well, and go in much more further detail, and in our blog videos as well, we've talked about this word, is called open equity. Okay, I want you all to go and look into that word. And based on open equity, you can get a statistically driven target, okay? So that is on the intellectual side of the mind. So you must know, okay, I have got to get here because 80% of the time it hits that and then it turns around, okay? So that's the first point. The second point is the emotional basis on how you can overcome greed. And that is basically on, firstly, getting at peace with yourself, being content with your profits, okay? And how do you do that? Now, a certain shift has got to happen, traders, over here, and which is, that's why I got a smiley face over here, which says that, you first have to understand one of the main reasons why people get into trading and why this greed comes in, because you are materialistically driven, right? You want more money, you want to buy that flashy car, flashy house, or the flashy TV for your house, or any other flashy objects, or flashy, clothes, Hugo Boss, Polo Ralph Lauren, whatever it is. You are materialistically driven, where the mind is never content. It just wants one after another. It wants something else bigger and bigger and better and in comparison as well. So how do you get it to neutral point? How do you get it to a content point? How do you get it to a peaceful point? And that is where the smiley face comes in again, where you first have to understand that happiness is first not in the outside, it's first within, okay? Bring the mind back inside rather than it always running onto the outside world. Then too many thoughts and too many agitation and a higher chance of greed coming in, because greed is multiple thoughts, is it not? Never a single thought. So you see, traders, how do we get to this happiness first within? Because when you come from a standpoint of happiness is within, when the mind is still is when you get happiness. Because whenever you get something that you achieve, the mind is still, and that's when you experience the happiness. So if we can get that natural stillness of the mind without those external dependencies, then we can understand that the happiness is inside. And when that happiness, you start from that happiness within, then the mind is more present, is more still, less thoughts come in, and lesser chances of greed coming in. And how do we get and train the mind more to be more within rather than outside on the external world? Is where I've said in many videos is meditate. Now, why is meditation important? I mean, even Ray Dalio, the owner of the biggest hedge fund in the entire world, $160 billion, right? He talks about meditation as well. He meditates every single day. And the main reason for that is, traders, because meditation helps you align the intellectual part of your mind and the emotional side of your mind. So you see, intellectually, you may have it all on paper, like for example, where you want to get out and everything, and all statistically, you're convinced you want to get out at that point. But you know what happens, right? What happens to us as well, it happens to many other traders, but emotions come in, and then they just, override your intellectually, statistically, objectively driven target points. And then you just do what you're not meant to do, and you take up that trade, or you let the trade run. So you see, what meditation does is that it helps you align the intellect and the emotions, okay? So that you are in peace, you're content when you get out of the trade. So for example, even if the trade, after you got up at your target, let's say you got at your target, even if it goes up further, you're content, because you know intellectually that was right. And you also know emotionally you're not going to chase the trade, because you know the happiness first starts from within, not from chasing out the externals. Or even if it hit the target and came back all the way down, you're just going to be happy still. You're not going to be thinking, you know what, that is it. You know what, I've achieved it. I'm the best trader in the world. No. This is a numbers game. And that's what the whole alignment is all about. So continuously, traders, Vedanta is all about thought reorientation and alignment of the intellectual side of us and the emotional side of us. And going back to the core, which actually energizes these two parts of the facets of the mind, which are just actually thoughts itself. Okay, so I guess that's pretty much that for this video. So go and back and then reflect on this, digest it, and then put it into action. Act. Okay, and as we always say, till the next time, stay disciplined, follow your trading plan, and keep trading like a master.